Hello and welcome. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Andrew, and we're brothers, and this is the Daniel and Andrew Show.
Where we give our opinions about movies and TV about striking first, striking hard, and having no mercy that we've been watching lately. So, Andrew, how you doing today?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm doing all right. Did you do anything fun this week?
Other than cramming 15 episodes of Cobra Kai and playing Monster Hunter, not much.
Yep. We'll be talking about Cobra Kai. We'll talk about DC and Warner in general and a couple of trailers. I didn't do that much really. I mean, it's been pretty slow at work. But there hasn't been any like big movies, but the last several movies that I've watched, the last like 4 movies I've watched, I've enjoyed. So, I'm on a good little streak here. And the show we're going to talk about today, I think, ended decently. I got some problems with it, but what show is not is there's no like 10 show. I think there's always like detractors, but yeah. Yeah, just kind of a slow week. Our stepsister came here. She stayed with us for a couple days while she was going to a wedding. So it was nice to catch up with her. Had like dinner with her a couple times, and we talked, and we watched a couple episodes of Cobra Kai while she was here because she likes that show too. And then watched the Oscars. The Oscars were on Sunday. Conan O'Brien was the host. He did a pretty good job. I mean, I like Conan, so I was probably going to like it no matter what. They opened with the 2 ladies from Wicked. I had Ariana Grande sing Somewhere Over the Rainbow. They had Cynthia Erivo sing Home from The Wiz. And then the 2 of them came back on together to finish out with Defying Gravity, like a shorter version of it. And of course, Cynthia Erivo killed it, and they both sounded really good together. And that was a really good opener. And then the rest of the show was kind of mid.
Kicked it off. I heard it was kind of predictable and boring. It's kind of what I heard.
Kicked it off with a bang, and then they did a thing for James Bond because they gave like one of the Governor Awards to the producers of James Bond for the long time, who just gave up control of it. They gave him basically a Lifetime Achievement Award, an honorary Oscar, and yep. And then they did this tribute to Bond music, where they had Margaret Qualley from The Substance. She did like a dance number to what was it? Like the theme song. So that was cool. And then they brought out 3 singers, Lisa, Doja Cat, and I can't remember the last one. Ray, I think is her name. And they were all, Lisa was clearly lip syncing, singing Goldfinger. And then Doja Cat was bad and butchered Diamonds Are Forever. And then Ray was so jazzy, but she sung Skyfall, and she was just so over the top about it. So that was pretty awful. Pretty much butchered those songs with 3 not that stellar current singers. So, so that blew. And that was like one of the only musical things that they did the whole show. So, they did like the In Memoriam. They had Morgan Freeman come out and talk about Gene Hackman, who died recently, and then they had like a nice, the In Memoriam section. Um, but yeah, it was. I mean, the show went fine. There was no like crazy blow up. There was no people slapping. There's no reading the wrong name for best picture or anything. There was no big thing. Big.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, Anora won 5 out of the 6 Oscars it was nominated for, including Best Actress, Best Director, Writing, Editing, and Best Picture. So Nora won Best Picture, even because it pretty much won all the precursor awards: the Directors Guild, the Writers Guild. It won the PGA, the Producers Guild. Um, so it was pretty much the front runner, and that's funny because that movie was a front runner long in the beginning, and then it kind of fell by the wayside, and then basically a conclave happened with all the other nominees. Amelia Perez got 13 nominations. It won 2, and one of them was the song from that. And Best Supporting Actress, Zoe Saldana won. So Gamora is a Oscar winner now. Um, and yeah, so that one didn't win, and then people thought The Brutalist was doing pretty well. That didn't win, and then Conclave won SAG ensemble, so they thought that was could be the upset, but no, Honora won. And yeah, it's not like wasn't my favorite. It's probably middle of the road for me. But I appreciate a smaller indie film winning. The Sean Baker, who's the director and writer and editor apparently of that movie, he won 4 Oscars last night, which is a record. Winning 4 Oscars in one night, tying with Walt Disney. But he won it for one movie. He didn't win it for shorts and animation. He won it all for doing everything, basically. Yeah. So, and he's like an indie darling director. So they basically gave him his flowers after several movies that people enjoyed. So it's good for him. Let me see. Dune won a couple for visual effects and sound. Wicked won for costume and production design. Won a couple. But Honora was the biggest winner with 5 Oscars. It was like you know, Honora won 5, The Brutalist won 3, and then the other ones won like 2, like Conclave and Amelia Perez. So it was pretty even spread until we got to like the major awards when Honora won. Honora won like 3 in a row because it was um, director, actress, and then picture was the last award. So yeah, they won they were going up over and over again. People from Honora. So yeah, I'm gonna assume next year that the Oscar will probably go to a bigger movie. Would be my guess. Something more mainstream, something that probably makes more money. Um, Oppenheimer won last year and it made a lot of money, but I think that was more. That was still kind of like artsy movie. I feel like the next one will be like a more mainstream movie. And I think we'll see what happens. Maybe Wicked 2 can do something because that comes out this year. Maybe
I
that'll.
think that'll be better than the first one.
We'll see. I don't know. There's more. There's definitely more resolution in the second one than the first one because it's the second part of the musical. So, and they
True.
got. They wrote new songs for the movie as well. So maybe they can get them an Oscar for song and stuff. And I know for a fact the best song category will be better than this year because this was so weak. Um, so yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all the Oscar recap I think that we need, especially because I don't think you care. So, but that's a biggest night in movies there, and we talk about movies. So,
Yeah, sure. Biggest night. Yeah.
Big night. Anyway, all right. Well, let's get back to normal crap. Let's talk about Warner Brothers overall and DC as well.
Okay.
Um, so Daniel Craig has left the Sergeant Rock movie, which is that DC character. I think we talked about it, right?
I think so.
Where he's like a military guy. I think he has like PTSD. Soldier. Luca Guadagnino is gonna direct it. Who directed Challengers and Queer and stuff.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, Daniel Craig has dropped out of that, so that's a DC project that's probably going to be now in limbo, um, as well as other things that are already in limbo at um, DC. Uh, Penguin season 2. Basically, they said it all is down to if Colin Farrell wants to do it again, do prosthetics and all that stuff. So that's
Mhm.
kind of in limbo. Um, there's they announced some. They have some animated shows. I mean, they were going to do one of Amanda Waller, Viola Davis's character, and I guess that one the script isn't coming along, so that one's kind of in limbo. So they got a their James Gunn said, "I'm not going to make anything unless the script is finalized and good, and we're happy with it." So it's kind of good that we're seeing him actually fulfilling what he's saying. Um, but we'll see how that goes. They're going to do a My Adventures with Green Lantern, which they already did. They've already done that show with My Adventures with Superman. So that in the same vein, kind of, like every day with those characters instead of like just the big battles or whatever type thing, and just like the interpersonal relationships. And they also said they're going to do a Starfire animated show as well. Um, we got a look at the Green Lantern TV show that they're doing. It's literally just Kyle Chandler and Aaron Pierre, but they're not even in the suits, or they're just like in normal clothes. So it wasn't like really that exciting or anything.
Yeah.
But Kyle Chandler's Hal Jordan, and Aaron Pierre's John Stewart in the Green Lantern shows. Um, and Warner Brothers has closed down 3 of their video game studios.
Yeah.
Uh, the studio that made Multiverses, that apparently was Dog Doo Doo.
Well, so they released it. It was good, and they actually had a lot of player base. Then they took it away, said it was a beta, and said it's gonna come back later, better. And then like all the hype was gone when they re-released it, and nobody played it.
Dang. Well, I guess I shouldn't say it was Dog Doo Doo. I guess they screwed it up or ruined
Pretty
it.
much,
Yeah.
pretty much. I mean, it's a Smash clone, so I mean, there really wasn't too much to like. Wasn't a bad game. We know Smash Brothers is a huge hit, and Warner Brothers has a very big IP. Um, so as long the game was pretty good, but they put like microtransactions in it, and even people that bought like the collector's edition thing that it gave you tokens to unlock all the characters. So they didn't even put out enough characters for the tokens to be used on. So they basically just got ripped off. So
Nice.
yeah.
You probably can't get a refund on that.
No, well, the way they got around it is because they gave you the tokens. You paid for, 30 tokens. You received 30 tokens. You just can't spend them on anything.
Nice. Nice. Whew. Sounds lovely.
Yep.
Um, and one of the other studios they canceled was Monolith, I believe is what it was called. They were in the making a Wonder Woman video game, in the process of making it, but obviously that's canceled because that whole studio's gone. One of the creators said that the game was looking really good and we were really enjoying coming along with it until they closed their doors. Um, that studio created the Nemesis system, which is very popular from the one of the Middle Earth games, right? Lord of the Rings
Yeah,
game.
Shadow of Mordor. Yeah,
Yeah,
and you would make have like dynamic fights with your enemies. They would like remember you and how you kill and things like that. If you're like more of a stealthy player, they'll reference it. That's the whole system. And yeah, I guess that system's just gonna, probably never get used because they patent it. Yeah.
yeah. So Warner Brothers has it, so they can use it and they can give it to somebody else if they want to.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, probably just. I mean, the patent's up in like 30, like 2036 or something. So I mean, someone else can pick it up later or something. But
Well, the thing is, like, so they literally created it, so no one knows how to use it. That team Monolith made it, so now they're
yeah,
gone. You fired them, so now
I
you got to
mean,
reteach people how to use it, but you don't have anyone to teach it. It'll probably just die.
yeah, probably. Well, hopefully somebody can, or they can move them somewhere else or something. I don't know if, I mean, Warner Brothers still has, uh, you know, video game companies. I mean, NetherRealm make Mortal Kombat, and they make
Yeah,
the Injustice games. They could always bring them over
yeah.
there, or
That's they said they're restructuring their whole thing to focus on Harry Potter, Mortal Kombat, something else. Oh, just like Batman games, I think is what it
yeah,
was.
Rocksteady is rumored to be making another Batman game, as if we need another Batman game. But
Well,
yeah,
Batman's what sells, but yeah, I agree.
yeah, Wonder Woman that's never sold. That's Patooey. That movie, that first movie didn't make a lot of money or anything.
And we're
Um,
talking about they're trying to go for like for sure games now and stuff. I don't agree with it. I think they were on the right track. They literally sabotaged themselves by trying to microtransaction everything, and it'll hurt everything. So yeah,
they've even kind of done that in the newest Mortal Kombat. There's definitely
hmm
microtransactions. I didn't get any of them or anything.
yeah, like buying fatalities and
What's dumb is there's so much content in that game. Like you really, I mean, if you buy like the complete edition or whatever, you get like a billion characters and you can already customize them and stuff. So why you would get the microtransactions is beyond me, unless you like just really love the game and you just want to keep playing it into the ground. I mean, to be honest, I got that game and I played it one day and I haven't gone back. So
that's why
yeah.
I stopped getting them because we would get them and I would never get through the whole story or anything. Play it like a
Well,
few times, and never touch it again.
it's funny as I like Mortal Kombat and I do like the story. They've literally reset the whole thing, right? Because they basically destroyed the whole world. Literally, the whole universe got like destroyed. So they
Yeah,
just starting again. Even it's basically like, what if Mortal Kombat was slightly different and all of the characters were slightly different, even though they all have the same names, fight pretty much the same. It's just like restarting it again, and they're like characters are slightly redesigned and stuff like that. And some of the characters are like kind of like mushed together. But it's like, what if Sector was a girl? It's like, yeah. So yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, Warner Brothers has a rocky road. James Gunn has a quite a lot of stuff on his plate over at DC. But I mean, I think a Wonder Woman game would have been good, and that if that Nemesis system was good, that probably would have been good. I don't, but I guess that's probably the only thing they were working on. So they thought just shut her down. I guess I don't know.
yeah, I
Um,
have no idea.
I mean, you're the games guy, so I mean,
I mean, they're probably just trying to save money where they can and try to make sure bets, and they weren't a sure bet based on what they saw.
Right. Yeah.
May Probably was still early in development. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. So yeah, that's all the news I had. Unless you have anything, we'll get into the old trailer train here.
All right, let's do it.
All right. First, we're gonna talk about Sacramento. It's a movie with Michael Cera and Kristen Stewart and Michael something guy from Sky High, which he will always be to me. I think.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see him in a movie. What do you think of the trailer?
Um, Thought it was pretty decent. I wouldn't mind watching this. It's kind of like, I guess it's a road trip movie, but not really. But um, I don't know, some guy who's kind of angry and some guy who's kind of laid back and they're going on an adventure to do something, and random stuff will occur. That's pretty much a very down to earth type of movie.
Yeah, Michael Angarano. Close enough. He also wrote and directed the movie, so that's good. I mean, I'm definitely gonna check it out. I like this kind of movie, road trip buddy comedy. I like those. We don't have enough comedies, good comedies anyway. I like the people in it, so yeah, I'm definitely gonna check this movie out. Um, you know, Kristen Stewart kind of doing her random indie movies every year.
I
I
wouldn't be
mean,
opposed to watching this. I'm probably not going to seek it out, but
yeah,
you look good.
yeah. I can't remember when it said it was coming out. I want to say relatively soon, right? Or maybe summer or something.
I have no idea, but
April.
I don't remember.
It's coming out in April. So yeah,
It's an April pretty busy for us.
April's pretty busy. I don't think we probably won't be able to fit it in, unfortunately. I mean, I'll probably see it when it, you know, but I don't even know if you would even get it there. It's kind of a definitely a small movie here. April, yeah, yeah, April's pretty much filled. Uh,
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't mind doing like a mini review. Like,
okay,
well, we can talk about it. We'll see.
yeah, I'm down with that. Yeah, and then there was a bigger, much bigger trailer. I mean, it's barely a trailer. It's basically just an announcement of the cast for Shrek 5. Now, this movie won't even come out until the end of 2026, so almost 2 years away. It'll be a Christmas 2026 movie. So, um, yeah. So we got uh, Shrek and Donkey and Fiona. Mike Myers, Eddie Murphy, Cameron Diaz, and our new addition here, which is not a new character. I mean, they had kids in the other movies, but now it's grown up, and one of them will be played by Zendaya. So Zendaya will be somehow be the kid of Mike Myers and Cameron Diaz there. But that's
Mm-hmm.
okay. It's a voice, right? So we have our character design for Zendaya's character. It looks like a angsty teenager, um, something
Yep.
new and different. Never been seen before. The angsty teenager character thinks their
I
parents are
mean,
embarrassing, right?
yeah, this is pretty typical, sequel energy from a follow up.
Now, this movie is going to make a lot of money, and having Zendaya in it is basically printing more money. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think next year will be if we do a draft, there'll be a hell of a draft to go on there. There's several big
Shrek
movies.
5 cannot be picked.
No, I don't think so.
Also, three other movies can't be picked.
We're not gonna do. I think next year. I think there's things that have just as much chance of making as much money as other things. The only one I'd be a little worried about is next year, an Avengers movie is supposed to come out. So yeah, that would be the only one I would debate about taking out of a draft. But yeah, I mean, there's supposed to be a Spider-Man movie coming out next year. There's supposed to be a lot of things coming out next year. Big movies, Star Wars movie coming out next year. So we'll see. But I mean, this movie is going to make a lot of money. We've had it'll be like 16 years since the last one will have come out, or like at least 10 years. So yeah, I mean, people definitely are interested in Shrek. Shrek memes are in this teaser, and they're making fun of them for a reason, because they are prevalent. I mean, that Shrek is like meme to death at this point.
Yeah,
So
I don't know. It just felt cringe to me. This whole trailer was just like unnecessary. It's basically just to announce Zendaya, but I didn't like it. So.
yeah, it was definitely cringe. I think it was not great. But one of the guys that I watched, he pointed out that somebody born the day after the first Shrek came out can have their own kid to see this new movie. That's how old Shrek is now.
Yep.
So pretty crazy. We're
Yeah.
old. So yeah. I mean, I'm definitely gonna watch anything Shrek. I'm definitely check out. I mean, the Puss in Boots, that last Puss in Boots was a very good movie. Definitely would recommend it. And that was actually the end credit scene was he's talking to the lady cat, and he's like, "We're going to go visit some old friends," and he's on a boat, and then they show far, far away, and that's where they're going. So, going to see Shrek there. So we'll yep, Shrek's coming next year. Next year seems to be pretty packed full of stuff that I am actually interested in. So yeah, let's hope that they fix those character designs a little bit. They were looking kind of creepy. Fiona looking kind of weird and different, and
Yeah. I don't know.
people think they're putting out like crappy character designs, like Sonic, where they redesigned them or whatever to make them look better. People think that might
Mm.
be what they're doing. Remember how like they had that trailer with Sonic and then he's like looked
Yeah, yeah, and
horrifying,
they were all, yeah, but I
and they
feel
fixed
like
it pretty fast.
you know how it is. Like they already exist. I don't know why they would need help fixing them.
They definitely looked different. I mean, I agree they didn't need fixing. I
I
don't know
just
why they're
figured it
fixing
was
it.
like a low budget ad type of thing. They didn't like
No, this
Lilo
was
and
like,
Stitch looked horrible in that Super Bowl thing. I just figured it was something like that.
you mean Lilo and Stitch that's coming out next month, and we still have yet to see any real footage of that movie? No full trailer of that movie. We don't
We
haven't seen
just
Lilo yet.
yeah, they're probably gonna delay that. I don't see. You really think they're just gonna put a trailer out less than a month before
I
and
don't
then
know. They've only put out little things with Stitch being cute. They have yet to put out a single full, even a minute trailer of that movie. So
mhm.
I don't know.
So
Maybe
find out.
we'll find out. I didn't pick it, so I'm okay if it moves out of the year. Um, cool. All right. Well, are we ready to talk about a show that never dies, except for it's dead now? It's done now.
Yeah, so I'm ready.
All right. So this week, our review is of Cobra Kai. It's the final season, and then we'll talk about the overall show in general because it is the series finale happened. Um, so what'd you think?
Um, I thought it was entertaining for the most part. Um, I felt like it was kind of long, but I didn't. We didn't watch it and the segmented parts that it came out in that they kind of wanted you to watch it in. We just watched all of it at once. Um, I do think that was the better way to watch it, but it felt kind of long. And then, like, felt like the first, like, this could have been trimmed up easily and probably would have felt better in the long run, but they wanted to make it these three parts and really milk it.
Yeah.
Um, it was entertaining. There are some things I like, some things I dislike. Um, I don't know. What do you think?
I thought this was the best season that they had in a while. They just went back to basics, went back to the relationships and karate. They didn't have, oh, my dad I'm gonna go to Mexico or whatever, and or wherever he went. It was just like straightforward. I feel like it's just the Sakai Takai. I got to hear that about 800 more times, which is the best. I love hearing Sakai Takai all the time. Um, and yeah, I mean, there's characters that I didn't love the ending for, and also I think there's some things that just make like no sense. But this show had already crossed over to Fantasyland when 70-year-old man broke out of jail, and no repercussions for him at all. He's
He has PTSD or something.
just out and about. Um, but whatever. Uh,
Yeah,
uh,
doesn't, whatever.
Silver has unlimited money and can just do whatever he wants. He set up this whole like production company for this, and somehow that makes karate mainstream. That makes no sense. It's just like now people are gonna care about karate and watch it in like bars. Like, no.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Um,
You just buy viewers. Yeah.
yeah, we're in fantasy land still. But that's okay. The show is over the top. It's always been over the top. It's supposed to be 80s cheesiness, and it went to the 11 on this season, which I'm okay with. They reference Rocky so much in this season. Not only do they reference Rocky, they literally just straight up talk about Rocky in the last couple episodes. So, yeah. Uh, it's, it's kind of you can say it was an homage, but I mean, it's kind of a ripoff. Um, yeah, I mean, I kind of knew where it was going. I knew that. I mean, the show is called Cobra Kai. It's not called Miyagi Do. So, I kind of knew where that was going. The only part I didn't realize was coming was like the last fight of the season. Um, I thought was just ridiculous. And didn't make any sense for why the rules would be that way. Makes no sense. But it was just to give people things to do. Um, I think they dragged out these last couple seasons so much that they had to lightning speed this last season. So, like, there's so many characters they had to give wrap up, and they wrapped them up in like 10 minutes, like their whole arc of the entire show. They bring back some characters, but don't bring back other characters. For some reason. And they just kind of, maybe they couldn't get the actors, so they just kind of gave like other people just like kind of took their spot. And, people hook up with people for some reason. And people, yeah, there's two characters that hook up for some reason that make no sense. Probably because they chosen.
I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, okay, yeah.
Um, two, no, four people die in this final season here. Um, so yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Actually, 5 people die in this season. I forgot about one.
Okay, we'll go over it.
Anywho, I mean, overall, I still think it was the best season in a while, probably since like the second or third season. But I just thought the last couple seasons were pretty weak. So, and they just went back to the basics. Um, yeah, I think. I mean, I feel like some episodes were like complete filler episodes, and then other episodes were just like I said, lightning speed wrapping up people. So, um, I think overall I'm at a 7 for the season. But I still think the show is pretty good and a fun show. And I would think I would give it an 8 overall. Because I think like the good seasons are really good, and then the not so good seasons are still like decent. So I think like every season I would range from like a 6 to a 9. So yeah, I think I'll even it out to like an 8 or maybe a 7.5.
Yeah. I'm I'd probably say, yeah, the whole series is an 8 overall. I don't know if I agree with this one being a 7. Maybe towards a little more of a 6. I don't know. I was pretty dreading watching it every time. I was never really like, oh, what's going to happen next episode? Not to say it was bad. It was entertaining at some bits, but um,
I think I like the
yeah.
last 5 the best. I mean, because things were happening.
Yeah,
I
pretty
like,
much anytime tournaments happening, I was
yeah,
good with it. And
yeah.
then other than that, not so much.
I mean, there was a lot of fights, a lot of decent, good fights too. Like, and they were well put together, I think. And, um, yeah, but there was just like the cringe parts.
Yeah, even the fighting for me is like nobody fights like this. They're just like randomly doing flips over each other
Yeah,
and stuff. It's dialed up to 11, like you said. Um, it's fine. I don't. This isn't. It's not like the same kind of action as like a John Wick or something, right? It's
yeah,
yeah. I'm not saying it needs to be. I'm just saying like the action is there, but it doesn't have any kind of stakes whatsoever for me. No, it doesn't.
yeah. I mean, yeah, um, yeah. I see what you're saying. All right. Well, I don't. I think that's all I can kind of say without getting like
Spoiling
spoilery.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So you're at a 7. I'm at a 6, maybe a 7. Maybe after spoilers will go up. We'll see.
All right.
All right. Spoiler section.
All
Who
right.
the heck died?
So
I know
Juan,
that.
I think is his name. The kid,
Yeah.
the kid
Juan.
who just came out of nowhere this season. So he was expendable.
I thought his
And then
character was pretty good though,
yeah,
for the most part. Yeah.
I think you like douchey characters, so
I thought he did a good job at
yeah,
what he was supposed to do. Yeah.
yeah. Because they had already written off the other douchey Korean guy in college or whatever, so they needed somebody else to replace him.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So he died, and it was just like he died. The end. Which was kind of how
Oh,
most of the people that died this season happened. They
yeah.
just went, they died. Uh, her master that she straight up kills, and he dies. Who cares? She's a murderer. That's fine. Um, because it's
Yeah.
okay because
Well,
it's
he
she does the
he
move.
was like 1,000 years old, so
Oh, so it's okay. 1,000 years old, murder
he's
someone.
lived plenty of life. So
Yeah. Uh, the henchman for Silver, he dies because he's on a boat that explodes
oh yeah.
with Kreese
Okay.
and Silver, who also die. Therefore, 5 people die this season.
Okay. I didn't realize we were including the henchman. I was like,
I
who the
mean, he
heck is this
dies.
fifth
He is a
person?
person that dies.
Yeah, he is a person. Just henchman. We don't know what his name was.
Henchman, who's from one of the Karate Kid movies that he beats up for like he beat him up in like 3 seconds, and then he got way more run on the show than he ever did in the movie. And in a movie, Cobra Kai movie, Karate Kid movie, they
Okay.
showed the flashback. And yeah, and Kreese and Silver die in explosion on the yacht, and they are never talked about for the whole end of the last episode. They don't
That's
talk
not
about them.
true. The bad guy goes, "Where's Silver?"
They don't say that
Yeah,
they
that's it.
died. No one
Yeah.
reacts to their death. Just they're dead, and it's like they never happened, never existed, even though they were the villains of the whole show.
Yep. I agree. I think it's dumb. I
Like
think that.
he goes to a grave, and then he just goes back to his mom's grave at the end. And I thought that was going to be Crease or something. It's like, no, just his mom. It's just
Well,
like,
he's Ash, so how are they gonna bury him?
I mean, I don't know.
I'm just
Um,
kidding.
but these two characters are pivotal. I mean, Crease is pivotal, and Silver, it was pivotal later, and they die, and nothing. No one says anything. No one cares. No one cries. No one even knows about it. They like it's just like at the end they're at dinner or lunch or whatever the hell, and they're like, I thought maybe they were going to talk about it. Like nothing. They just like the
Yeah.
end.
Yep.
Um, yeah, it was super, super, super weird. Um,
Yep.
that they don't even talk about that. So yeah, Crease and Silver go out with a bang, and nobody cares.
Yep.
Um, so
Including the audience.
apparently not. Um, I don't know. I just thought that was super weird. Like, yeah. Okay. So yeah, I'll get that out of the way. So we
Well, I
got
feel like Kreese kind of got a send off. He got his redemption, even though like it's so like one out of the blue ish. Like we knew it was gonna happen, but since this whole last season super rushed, he's just like, yeah, I failed. I just kind of out of nowhere when like there was plenty of those moments in prior seasons for him to do this. But it's ending now, so now it's time to do it, type of thing.
yeah. So the first chunk of the season was them basically preparing for the Sakadakai. Um and then Kreese like being worthy, I guess, to do the Cobra
Yeah,
Kai, I guess.
yeah, he's literally fighting a snake. Yeah,
Um that was for Cobra Kai, right? Yeah. I was like, but yeah, then but later the lady just doesn't she not there at the Sakai Takai even though they're Cobra Kai, right? But
dude, who cares? Yeah, sure.
yeah, but she's not there. She's just like teaching
She's
him.
doing it her own way.
But so I guess is she not Cobra Kai anymore? I don't know. But
I mean,
yeah,
they were never really Cobra Kai to begin with. I don't think they were ever called Cobra Kai before that. They just entered the tournament as Cobra Kai.
okay, got it. All right, now we got it. Um, yeah. So the first part of the season was pretty inconsequential, I would say. Um,
Yes.
except
Like,
he got a knife. Um,
yeah.
except he has a knife.
that that's how they picked who was going to the tournament, I would say is the other thing. But if
Yeah,
I
that's true. Yeah, that's
if I
true.
had
Yeah,
watched this in parts, it would have probably made me not want to watch the rest of
yeah,
it.
yeah,
And then I would have to wait for the rest of it as well. I would have definitely been really dreading it after watching that.
yeah. And that
So
character got a send off, and he's in college. That's about it. I mean, but who cared about that guy?
yeah,
Uh,
nobody cared about that guy. I don't know why that episode was there.
well, and also you could predict who is going to go to the tournament, like as if like the little shrimpy kids are going to like beat the other kids to our lead kids to be the ones at the
Yeah,
tournament and the captains and stuff, right? It's like obvious, clear. It's going to be Hawk and Dimitri and Robbie and everything.
yeah. The a character that I wanted, well, I felt like they were gonna do more with was the younger lady. Was it Devin?
Devin sounds correct. Yes.
Um,
She made him crap his pants.
yeah, I liked the character, and I thought they were gonna actually like make her do some good karate, and then they have her this whole thing with her, and then it goes nowhere, and then she just kind of leaves, type of thing, and it's back to the main four. I don't know. Pretty much like the whole Kenny and the son, all of that is just garbage to me. It's
Well,
just,
it's just a storyline that they had to wrap up because it's the last season.
yeah,
So they just finished it out. And it didn't matter because it didn't matter that Kenny went or didn't go or Devin went or didn't go. It
yeah,
didn't matter because it always comes down to the captains. And it's never going to be one of them as the captains
yeah.
unless they do a show down the line. But they'll long be not be kids anymore. So they're.
Hmm.
I just, yeah, I don't. They
Yeah.
have to wrap it up,
Well,
but also we don't care. So it's like,
also, yeah, I didn't like it last season. I don't like it this season. It definitely brings it down for me on those particular storylines.
yeah, yeah. So that first chunk bleeds into the second chunk. Like I said, people crapping their pants and stuff. But yeah, then the second part they clearly shot in Barcelona, and they're showing all that, and like that's nice or whatever. And then Sakai begins, and yeah, I mean, it just basically comes down to they have the tournament and they get to the semifinal matches where something good's gonna happen, and then you got your first one where it just devolves into a brawl with everybody because the Russians got disqualified because the Russians are cheaters. Shocking. Um, uh, yeah, and then there's other stuff where Sam goes hangs out with the guy from that other team and he just loves her immediately and she's like, "What? I'm not down with
She's
that.
pretty,
She's pretty."
pretty.
And that's it. And then
It goes
um
nowhere, by the way. Like, there's
it goes
still.
nowhere. I mean it doesn't not it does go somewhere.
Well, I
Um
felt like if she had helped him kind of break out from the team, like he
yeah.
does it on his own, but if she had done something after that, I felt like it would have been a little more impactful for those prior scenes, but she doesn't do anything. They're just
Well,
like,
it's
yeah, he's acting weird.
Well, it's also interesting because they don't they don't show him at either of the dojos at the end or anything. So he just like quits. Like, does he
Yeah.
just quit karate altogether? I don't know. It's kind of weird.
Who knows?
Anyway, so it devolves into a big brawl, and that's where that knife comes into play here. And the one that dies is Quan. With after that very loud scream. Daniel turns him over and he's dead. Kreese was trying to stab Silver there. And then the knife it gets dropped in the scrap down below where the big fight is happening with all the dojos and stuff. And that's where he dies. And that's the end of the second part of the season.
Yep.
Um, the second part of the season was more interesting just because there was actual things happening and
Tournament stuff. Yeah.
tournament stuff. Oh yeah, and Robbie gets drunk and sleeps with a chick, but that's okay. Um,
Oh yeah.
I mean, they
I
basically say that he didn't consent to it, but
I
don't say
thought they
that.
were I thought they were gonna say that they never did anything and he was just drunk, and but she made it look like they did something. I thought that's what it was gonna be, but nope.
No,
They've never cleared that up.
no, they didn't. Yeah, he
Yeah.
just, I mean, I guess they say that they're he didn't realize what he was doing. I guess. Um, so that's a little
Yeah.
weird.
I don't
And,
know why it's that big of a deal. They were on a break anyways. I don't see, even if he wasn't drinking, like, he's
well,
allowed to
it
do
doesn't
that.
matter. It
But
doesn't matter, Andrew, because he says later, "I love you," and then it's good, and then we move on, like nothing ever happened.
Yeah, it was a poor choice of
Yeah, it was super
yeah.
weird. They just wanted to give that the mean girl something, I guess.
Yeah.
Is that she sucks? I guess is her story, her plot
Well, it
beat.
didn't make sense to me. Is like the guy is beating on the other dude, right? But all the other students, he doesn't beat them for some reason. I don't.
Well, we don't see that. I don't. I mean, it's possible they
I
did. I
guess he
mean,
could have been, but it
there's
was
only
only shown. Yeah, he's never
there,
beating on this girl.
dude. All that matters. Who cares? I don't even know there's other people in that dojo. It's just those two, the two captains
Okay, well,
there
he
that
didn't
matter.
beat that girl, and then the girl seems to have all the freedom in the world, and that guy seems to have no freedom, and it's all about training.
Well, he's not. Well, I mean, that would have made him really dastardly if he starts beating her up. But she wouldn't be there if he's beating her up.
I
So
guess it's okay to
uh,
beat men, I guess, but not okay to beat
apparently,
women.
apparently, that girl in real life is a real like world champion. Like she's actually like that's why she's like a bad actress because she's like an actual fighting champion.
I believe it because you could tell when they're who's actually doing their things and who isn't actually doing
Yeah,
their thing.
right,
So
exactly. So yeah, she's actually, but she's like pretty small, but she's like a real like grand champion. So that's kind of interesting. I mean, she's like kind of cute, I guess. So that's probably why they got her. I'm assuming. Um,
mhm.
eh.
To be
um,
honest, I thought her acting stacked up against the rest of them. So
I mean, all of them are from like Disney Channel and stuff. It's not like they're all like, you know.
I'm just saying it's not like they're cream of crop actors here
No, I didn't. I didn't.
before.
I never said they were the greatest actors either.
Yeah.
Um, all
I'm
right,
saying she fits right in.
cool. And then yeah, it wraps Robbie and Tori there wraps up. They just love each other, and they both got Fantasyland contracts with a publicity company there with the PR
Yeah, they
agency, whatever.
are advertising for monster drinks or something.
Yeah, exactly. Um, yeah, they had like Hawk and Dimitri, they're binary brothers or whatever, and that happened. And good for them. I liked Hawk's American flag mohawks, pretty cool.
Are we
Uh,
going to talk about the CGI Miyagi?
Oh yes, yes. We're of course going to talk about it. I was getting to
Uh,
our adults here, the people that the show apparently is
oh,
really about. It's not about these kids and Cobra Kai. It's about these adults. I was going to get to that. Don't you
okay.
worry, because that was horrible. So we'll get to that. You know what? Yeah, no, we'll get to them in a minute because we got to talk about Miguel and Sam first. So yeah, so Sam, her arc this season was something.
Her arc
Uh,
was I'm going to fight to prove myself. And when it comes down to fighting, I don't have to. I've
I'm
already
gonna
proven
quit.
myself.
Yeah, got
Yeah.
it. Yeah, yeah, and then and yeah, that's true. Yeah. Oh, and then she's gonna go to Okinawa study
Yeah,
abroad
they were going to
program.
be closer, but she didn't want to secretly.
So she's still
And
gonna go to the California school, but she's gonna do a study abroad program to for
I have
that.
no idea. I don't know
Yeah, it
about.
was a California school. It said like something California on the letter. Um, but yeah, so and I bet apparently everybody can get into like fantastic technical schools or like Stanford, just like no problem.
He's a hard worker.
Anyway, yeah, so Miguel gets into that, gets into Stanford. Miguel was pretty much sidelined pretty much the entire season. And just basically gave people pep talks or him worrying about.
I liked his villain arc. That was entertaining. His little Let me show you how it's done. And then he goes and
Yeah.
beats up people. Yeah. Well,
I
that's pretty
mean,
good.
yeah,
But
but
yeah,
I mean,
he had no storyline. Yeah.
he had no storyline because, I mean, of the kids, he is by far and away the most compelling character that they created for this show. And they basically sidelined him the whole time until shocking, 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 the very end. Where basically Miyagi, well, because we know, like I said, it's not called Miyagi Do, it's called Cobra Kai. We're gonna come down to Cobra Kai at the end, right? And they got to fight the villain. They can't go against Miyagi Do, right? So they got to go against the Silver Dragons or whatever the hell they're called, and
Iron Dragons.
Iron Dragons, the Iron Giants, and then yeah, so they need a male champion, and it's okay because they used to be Cobra Kai, so they can just hop on that team. Apparently, you can just hop on any team that you want when they're in the finals.
Well, both of them are prior Cobra
Yeah,
Kai's, if you don't
exactly.
know that.
Yes,
Oh,
everybody on this show, I think, is a former Cobra Kai, including Daniel. So, yeah. So yeah. So they're so Tori wins, she's the champion, and Miguel subs in for Robbie, who got sidelined because he got hurt, because he got completely should have been, the guy should have been disqualified when he broke his leg, but you know, what
yeah,
ifs.
he was just like, oh, they both fell on the mat. That's all I saw.
That's all I thought. I'm the best. I'm also a cameo from a former movie that I'm not sure which one, but I'm back because
Yep.
cameos. Yeah. So yeah. So Robbie was out, and so they needed a replacement, and you got Miguel, of course, because Miguel is the man. And Miguel beats the machine guy because he like girl, and doesn't want to look bad in front of, or doesn't want to be a bad guy in front of her. That is the end of his arc there. And that it did go somewhere. It just wasn't great. So there you go. With
I
that guy's
thought
arc,
I thought he just didn't want to cheat. I didn't think it was because of her.
he looked
But
over at her and he's like, "I can't do it" or whatever.
I don't know. He
He,
cheated 5 seconds earlier, no problem. So
yeah, but he changed his mind then. Now
yeah,
it's
that's
it's what you
okay.
do. It's what you do last is what's important, Andrew.
Okay.
Anywho, so Miguel wins, and Tori wins. So Cobra Kai is now tied with the Iron Giants, and so they have a great stipulation in the Sakai Takai that the senseis, not another fight between people in the thing or anything, the senseis will fight to see who wins the whole thing. The dojo that wins the whole thing. And we'll get back to that because that's for Johnny there. First, we're going to talk about Daniel here, which was by far the worst storyline in the whole season, probably the whole show, which was apparently Mr. Miyagi's killer and a bad person, maybe. Which is that story? That's the storyline through the whole season.
Yep.
Now, there's like a necklace that they found a little clipping that apparently Mr. Miyagi stole, but he stole it back in a righteous way because Daniel's mom is there to let them know what happened with the necklace, with a cameo return for Daniel's mom there, so that clears up that bit. But I mean, he still killed somebody, so
I don't know. They were saying he wanted it back, and then the guy attacked him essentially. So it was like a self defense
no,
kill.
he didn't kill that guy. He just beat him up and took the necklace. He killed the guy in the Sakai Takai.
Oh yeah,
And they're like, this is authentic results and everything. Like, he killed that guy. But it's like,
we don't really know how or
it's in the
anything.
heat of war or whatever you want to call it. It's just like,
Yeah,
But well,
It was rough back then.
yeah. So yeah, that was interesting. I mean, eh.
And you
Uh,
get the horrible CGI.
and then yeah, so the whole season, Daniel's like having nightmares, and I don't know if Mr. Miyagi's a bad guy or something or whatever. And we have multiple dreams with horrible, horrible, horrible deep fake, de-aged, whatever you want to call it, Mr. Miyagi there. Um,
I thought it was fine when they had the scene where he fights him, like back in the 60s or whatever that's supposed to be. And they
it's supposed to
show
be the
him
Sakai
just,
Takai at
yeah,
some
but
point.
they show
Yeah.
him at like that one scene where it's like just his face and he just says like one line. I thought that
Yeah.
was fine ish. Like it didn't look great, but that's where they should have left it. And
Yeah.
then they bring it back a second time, and that's when it just looked real bad.
When they're fighting the
The
skeleton
skeletons
costume
called
guys.
back. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, didn't like that.
Yep.
I can't believe they were okay with that. um, I don't
I
know.
mean, I'm sure they got paid.
I just didn't like it. This is just bad. Kind of disrespectful to me. To and they kind of screw up the Mr. Miyagi character with all this weird stuff that they bring up in this last season. Um, I don't know.
Well, I thought it was gonna lead to him learning like how to do, that whole thing,
Yeah.
and then it never did.
And Josen's like, that doesn't help anything. Stop it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was weird. Yeah. Yeah, and Daniel's like basically traumatized. Halfway, like in the to coming into the third chunk of the season, he's kind of a dick to the guys at the dealership. And then they have like a party, and he's like, the wife's like, you need to let it go, basically.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. It wasn't a great storyline.
So going into this third part, because someone died at the Sakai Takai in Barcelona, Silver goes to the head of it, and he's like, I gotta have it. We gotta do it. And he's like, I'm okay with that if everybody agrees. And Daniel doesn't agree because he's like traumatized about this Miyagi thing and the kid dying and blah blah blah. And then they basically go, hey, they wanna fight. And then he's like, all right. um, and then the Sakai Takai is back in the valley there where it
Yep.
all began, even though it's clearly not the same place at all. Um, so yeah, the World Championships are where the All Valley Championships are. Yes, and we already know who our champions are and all that stuff. So yes, so now let's talk about Johnny, our lead of this show, and Johnny is has to have his hero moment. So yes, in this season we had what's her name, Carmen, his girlfriend, was pregnant, and there's a complication with the pregnancy. So Miguel and Johnny leave during the tournament, and just do a quick round trip from Barcelona, which is a 12-hour flight, by the way. And they somehow get there, go back to home, and back to Barcelona in one night, which is literally impossible. So yeah, and there's a whole thing with Kenny and the crap his pants with the wife and everything, and that he goes to and goes back to Barcelona, and And it was all a misdirect. Obviously, the Carmen's not dead and the baby's fine. And she's like, "Get back out there, Tiger." Um, and then they go
Yeah.
back to an
Yeah.
impossible way to
That whole thing should not have even been in the show. I get
really
why
don't.
it was there, but it added nothing.
Yeah, it's just like more heart to hearts,
Yeah.
basically. The show is just heart to hearts or fighting. That's about it. Or villains. And then yeah, so that happens, and then they have the baby, and they get married, and it's all fine and dandy. Um Now Johnny needs to resolve his stuff with Kreese there. Kreese feels bad because a kid died or whatever, his little protege that he found or whatever. Um, and he basically is like, I'm done. And Johnny,
I'm done being bad.
I'm done being bad. I feel bad for you, Johnny. I'm sorry I let you down. I'm your dad. Uh, because your stepdad's a dick, but he was also played by Ed Asner, who's dead, so they couldn't show him. Because you get the ring from him, but they can't show him because Ed Asner died. So, yeah. Yep, and he proposes, and she says yes, and they get married. They have the kid. Hooray. And then, yeah, so Kreese is like, all right, I feel bad. I'm sorry. And then here's Cobra Kai. And you don't know it, but I'm going to protect your family and make sure Silver doesn't get his henchmen to, uh, take your family hostage or whatever. By killing himself and Kreese on a yacht.
And his
Uh,
henchman.
Killing himself and Silver and the henchmen on a yacht by throwing a cigar into some random gas tank on the top of it, and then it just makes the whole thing explode.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
That's
that
how
was the
those work.
that was the end of Crease, but they had a good, heartfelt hug and cry and whatever, and um, yeah. So Johnny is Cobra Kai once more, and is the sensei, and that gives him the opportunity to be in the final fight there, because the rules of the Sekai Takai is that the senseis, if there's a tie, will go for the dojo, not like the kids. And then he has to face Louis Tan, who I haven't brought up this whole time because he's lame.
I
Uh,
liked him. I thought
Louis
it
Tan
was
from
pretty good.
Mortal Kombat. Uh,
I thought it was good.
yeah, so he's the villain in this, and he gets to use his British accent. He doesn't have to do a fake accent.
Mm-hmm.
And he just comes out of nowhere, and he's just amazing. And apparently, he was like a fighter guy, and he knows how to, you know, make people have heart attacks in fights, I guess. Um, yeah, and
Those the weaknesses, yes.
he becomes the de facto final boss here for this show, because Kreese and Silver exploded, and we don't talk about them. So yeah, and then they have a final fight, and Johnny kicks his bootay, and Johnny is the winner, and Cobra Kai wins overall in this ridiculous final rule if there's a tie.
Mm-hmm.
And Johnny gets to, raise his trophy, even though he's been the All Valley champion twice. So, but and we got to see Daniel and everybody in the Cobra Kai uniforms because, show's called Cobra Kai, right? So they had a good finale, and Cobra Kai had a win, which I kind of knew was going to happen anyway. And it wasn't going to just happen with Tori single-handedly winning the tournament. So, yeah.
Yeah.
The so yeah, and
Oh, one more person died.
really?
Tori's mom.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Her whole reason for joining Cobra Kai.
yep. Sucks for her.
Yeah.
Once again, someone dies, no one cares.
There you
Other
go.
than one
Season
person.
6, 6 people are required to die.
6. deaths. Yeah, yeah, that's right. They like gloss over that too. She just dies, and it's like whatever.
It's not. They do. She's struggling with it, and she joins Cobra Kai after, and they're like, "You shouldn't fight. Your mom's dead."
Yeah, whatever. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So, Johnny has a house with his new wife and daughter and everything, and they're a nice, happy family there. Miguel and Robbie are stepbrothers and have a half sibling with uh, with the daughter Laura being born.
Yep.
Um, I thought it was funny that her name was Laura, and I guess that was his mom's name, Johnny's mom's name. I just thought it was funny that
I
it's
guess.
Laura.
Yeah.
Just ha-
Yeah.
you know, though there was a Daniel in the story already, and now there's a Laura. No Andrew though, because that's a lame ass name.
Yeah.
Um,
They forgot the good names, I guess.
well, the hero, the true hero of the Karate Kid saga is Daniel, so that makes sense.
I will say you messed up. You should have put your name instead of the sensei. Should have been Daniel's son. I thought that was an
I
easy
know
way up there.
that's true, but I've heard that all my life, so I think I was ready for
Yeah.
something new. And Daniel is a sensei, so that's okay.
Okay.
Uh, Anywho, yeah, and then they have a final scene to go ahead and do one final callback to another Karate Kid, the original Karate Kid, where Daniel is at the table at a sushi place, and he tries to catch a fly with. He's
Oh yeah.
leaning back to
Yeah.
catch a fly with his chopsticks, and Johnny comes back from the bathroom and claps his hands and killed the bug, and he's like, "No mercy." And the show ends. That was the final scene of Cobra Kai. And
Yep.
everyone's seems to be doing okay, and except for the dead ones, we're all good. Everyone had a nice, happy ending, and they wrapped it up lightning speed.
Yep. And you're at a 7 for this. Like you explaining it to me just made me like, yeah, I think a 6 was good.
The thing is that we, I like some resolution, and everyone, like, there was no like really loose ends. It's just that nobody talked about the two characters dying, like the two villains dying, but it wasn't a
Mhm.
loose end. Like they had an ending. It was just that no one talked about it. It was weird.
Yeah.
But everyone had an ending, and I think everyone's ending was like satisfactory, even though every single person had a happy ending other than the one that died. So that was kind of weird. But the show is kind of, it ends up okay. That's kind of like an 80s movie, right?
Yeah. Oh, and
So,
Chosen and that one lady hookup.
right.
I actually liked that, but I wish they would have actually had them like the hookup part happen. They just kind of show them he just shows up there for 2 seconds and then they cut away. Like I like what they set up, but they didn't really resolve it in a way that I liked.
Yeah, they did it in like an 80s montage way where it's just like he shows up and it's
Yeah.
on sale and that's it. I mean, what I just, once again, I'm not sure if they did these things based on they couldn't get these other actors to show up, or they just
Hmm.
had this set up for them. So, um, but yeah, yeah, I still think the season. I mean, the ending was good. They wrapped it up. Good heart, like they're good conversations, and they actually are interesting. I like the characters, and I thought the fights were pretty good. Sakai Takai. And I thought the new additions to the show were all pretty good. You got Stingray showed up at the end for some reason. Cobra Kai is uber popular at the end there, and they just have too many
Hmm.
students to do. And they have Johnny being the sensei and everything, and calling people Four Eyes and stuff. I thought that all worked, but they were all evolved characters. They had a beginning, middle, and end. Honestly, I think you could skip like seasons 4 and 5 probably, and you would still like the show, and you could still
Yeah.
get the full arc.
I mean, this is a show suffering from success, right? Since it was
Yeah.
successful, they wanted more seasons, so it got stretched out to more seasons, and it ends up hurting the show. If they had just done like this bit and cut out season 4 and 5, it probably would have been a lot more tight knit, like, you know, good show, basically.
I'm happy that a show that started on YouTube did this well. And I think it resolves nicely. I think we'll see what happens with this movie. I don't think it's not connected to Cobra Kai. I'm
Yeah.
pretty certain. So we'll see. Maybe, hopefully, that'll help it out. Hopefully, the movie's good. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think they did about as good as they could have, finishing it up in a satisfactory way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I liked it overall, and I liked the show overall. I think it's good. I think a lot of the people in it are good, and it's not just the adults. I think a lot of the kids did a good job. I like Zolo Maraduena is his name, the guy who's Miguel. He's my favorite character in the show, other than the adults. Like favorite kid, younger character in the show. And I think he's good. I even like Blue Beetle. So I mean, I think there's a future for a few of the people. I think there's good stuff about this show, and there's but it's also cringe and cheesy and ridiculous. So comes and goes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I still think I'm at a 7. I still think it's a better season than some of the other seasons. So
I think it's better, but I just don't think it's like a point better.
okay,
But yeah, I see your point.
yeah,
All right. Well, I think that wraps up our review.
yeah.
Got
I think that
anything
was
else?
No, I think that was everything for the review. I think next week we're doing Mickey 17. I think.
Okay.
So I've heard it's weird and stuff. So let's prepare for a weird, strange movie.
As long as it's entertaining.
Yep.
All right. We'll see you guys on the next one. Until then.
This has been the Daniel and Andrew Show.